This morning to debate the Malaysian Free Trade Agreement. I won't be taking the approach that my learned colleague Kennedy Graham took in discussing neo-classical orthodoxies. I got to say that most New Zealanders around the country aren't particularly focused on neo-classical orthodoxies and actually work regardless whether it's neoliberal or whatever, most New Zealanders don't work in that sort of league and really only understand things at a much lower level. And I think once the Green Party start actually understand that and actually speak at a level where most New Zealanders actually understand, they'll be in a far better space. But far from me to advise the Green Party on how to run their politics. So bringing the debate back to a context where most New Zealanders understand, and that is about delivering on promises in elections. And that's what this party, the National Party, is doing, Mr Speaker. We're out there, we made a big commitment to this country when we stood at the election about having a strong growth agenda. And Mr Speaker, we had six levers that we were going to work on extremely hard to ensure that growth agenda came through. Those levers were a tax system which encouraged Kiwis to get out there and work hard. And Mr Speaker, we're delivering on that, which is absolutely fantastic. The second part of those levers was an investment in infrastructure to provide a framework for businesses to work under, to grow and to provide jobs. You see, Mr Speaker, because it is actually businesses that provide jobs in our economy, which the other side doesn't actually understand. And it's that second lever that we're pulling on very, very hard to make sure that we deliver jobs and growth to the economy. The third area was an attack on compliance costs and bureaucracy. And you saw that with the aviation bill yesterday. We're bringing back compliance costs, making it the costs of running businesses and getting our product to market cheaper. Again, another fantastic example of national delivering on our election promises. The fourth area, sir, was in the control of government spending and a focus on delivering efficiency and value for money in the government sector. And this government is delivering really well on that, Mr Speaker, I'm proud to say, which is fantastic. The fifth area, which we've got a part of our vision and part of the strategies to grow the economy, was lifting standards in education. And throughout the country, we're seeing standards throughout the primary schools, secondary schools and the tertiary education lifting and growing. But the area I want to focus on today is the sixth lever, Mr Speaker, and that is innovation and trade. And we've seen in this urgency debate two examples of trade bills coming through, the Hong Kong Free Trade Agreement and the Malaysian Free Trade Agreement, which is before us on the table today, which is a big part of our trade agenda, supported by the opposition and most parties within this government, with the exception of the Greens, because most parties understand that actually trade exports is what a key driver of our economy, what is going to grow businesses, grow jobs, give us options within government to utilise, to actually over time collect more tax and deliver better education, better health services. That's how it works, Mr Graham. That's how it works. So what I really wanted to do, rather than focusing again on neoliberal orthodoxies, was to give voters out there a real good example of what this means at the coalface. And I wanted to use the example of Zespri, who Marion Street, I must say, did talk about the kiwi fruit industry yesterday. But to give you an exact example of how this free trade agreement is going to work for New Zealanders, for Kiwi businesses, for actually quite a green product with a low carbon footprint, which is the kiwi fruit industry. Now, Mr Speaker, Zespri presented, this is a company that is getting behind this government's agenda and have set a growth projection for their industry of taking kiwi fruit sales from 1 billion to 3 billion by 2025. It's absolutely fantastic to see what they're doing. And actually, if you compare the growth in the kiwi fruit industry with some of our other industries, you can actually see what an industry, Zespri, I should say the kiwi fruit industry, can do when it gets its whole plan together and goes well. Because right now, the kiwi fruit industry is up there at 9.88% growth annually, year on year, even ahead of dairy. You wouldn't think it because of the way that the dairy guys, but dairy's at 9.71, all the way through down to even ahead of meat at 5.62%. So this is an industry that is getting behind this government's agenda and is really on board and taking it ahead. The key points that Zespri spoke about which will really ensure that they can grow and achieve that $3 billion is maintaining a single point of entry. Well, I think that's something that other industries around the country, particularly the meat and wool industry, need to really have a strong think about if they're going to grow their own industries and utilise these free trade agreements that we're bringing out. And I think the wool industry in particular, if you have a look at those growth figures that I was talking about before, I mean, wool has not grown in the last 10 years at all. In fact, it's gone backwards. So they need to have a long, hard think about how they're going to take wool to the wider market to utilise these FTA agreements. Because if you think about a product that has a sustainable future, that is a green product, that it's got to be wool. And so there's got to be a story to tell there. There's got to be a way that farmers can actually drive more revenue into their profit and loss accounts, into their balance sheets, that they can use wool to grow jobs in this country. So I think they've got a lot of thinking to do there. But just in terms of Zespri again, a big chunk of driving the growth to $3 billion is to use these free trade agreements. And so in their document, they are fully behind this government and taking their industry to a $3 billion level. And I think that's to be applauded, Mr. Speaker. I think with the free trade agreements, we're in a great space. I'm proud to be supporting the bill at this point in time, and I'll leave it at that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.